NBA insider Shams Charania reporting that the Hornets have contacted the league disputing the Lakers' failed physical. Scuttled their trade. LA had acquired Williams to give new star Luka Doncic a vertical threat, but sent him back after the physical. And that feels like that's what's missing right now when you look at LeBron and the Lakers, especially after last night's performance here. NBA insider, and that is senior insider Shams Charania with us now. Shams, where do things stand with the Hornets' dispute here over Mark Williams' physical?
Kevin, the Hornets, from my understanding, they remain in contact with the league office, essentially questioning the validity of the Lakers' failed physical exam and weighing potential options where they can potentially appeal this situation. As I reported over the weekend, the Lakers failed Mark Williams on his physical. They found multiple issues, from what I'm told, not related to his back, however. And so the Hornets and Lakers, they're on opposite ends of where this issue stands. In the Hornets' eyes, Mark Williams is healthy. He has a long potential career ahead. And the Lakers clearly feel like they found a couple of issues in that physical exam. But in the meantime, Kevin, sources told me that the Lakers are waiving Christian Wood to sign Alex Len, 7-foot free agent center. That's going to give them some depth. They've been with just one center since this failed test and since the trade deadline last week. Just Jackson Hayes. Now Alex Len, he's played. He's in his 12th NBA season. He will join them on their front line.
And that's important. You just need size. You need some matchups. You need 6 fouls. You need somebody that can get rebounds. And Len trying to fill that in just a limited amount of minutes. We will see how that plays out. Now, you reported earlier today Brandon Ingram secured an extension with the Raptors. Why were they comfortable with that new deal after trading for Ingram?
Kevin, just under a week after they traded for him, 3 years, $120 million extension. He's 27 years old. He's going to hit potentially free agency again in 2027 before turning 30 years old. They view Brandon Ingram as a perfect fit next to Scottie Barnes, a playmaker, a scorer that can complement Barnes as well as Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. They really feel like his best days are ahead. It's been an injury-riddled few seasons for Brandon Ingram in New Orleans. He wanted a fresh start, from my understanding. He gets that in Toronto, and now they're going to try to continue to build around Scottie Barnes with the Raptors.
Okay, this season in only 18 games due to injury, Ingram averaging over 22 points per game, and injuries.
And the Lakers, a lot of that win streak came obviously without Luka, and while Anthony Davis was hurt, and their only serviceable center on their team right now is Jackson Hayes. Are the Lakers good? I think the Lakers might be good.
Yeah, I think they are. And I know that when the trade went through, they went from whatever they were to the 40-1 to 16-1 to come out of the West, and 13 or third best odds to sort of be that team that can emerge. I'm in. And by the way, how funny is it, John, that Hayes now I think he was 6 for 6 last night. It's like it's just the easiest buckets he looks like a legitimate center. The thing that struck me last night, and you're right, they were already playing well. They were doing it without AD. Credit to the Lakers for going on a run. The thing that really hit me last night that I suppose shouldn't have surprised me, I knew that Luka plus LeBron was going to be really good. What I think had forgotten or underestimated until I saw him on the floor, even though Doncic was really rusty and only hit, I think, one of his 7 3-point shots, the gravity he commands, and we usually talk about gravity like, Steph Curry, right? Just the attention that you have to get. It was amazing to watch, to see it when LeBron's on the floor, to see the gravity he commanded in a way that AD just never did, and how easy I think the game is going to be for LeBron James when Luka Doncic is on the floor. I guess I thought of it the other way around, that, wow, this is going to be so easy for this pair, and Luka's going to have – it's the other way. At 40 years old, LeBron's going to get to expel less energy. He's going to get easier buckets. He's going to find Luka for easy buckets. Just I'm not sure, outside of Steph Curry, how many guys in the NBA command the same sort of attention, the gravity that he creates on the floor like Luka Doncic, and seeing that with LeBron and knowing they're going to get in rhythm eventually and that Luka's going to get where he needs to go. I'm actually more bullish on the Lakers this year than I had been when the trade went through. Look, are they better than the Thunder? No. Are they on the same level as every other team in the West outside of the Thunder? The ones that are sort of in the pecking order next, I think they are, the deficiencies notwithstanding.
Yeah, I'd throw them in there with the Nugs and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, it really depends on Ja. And obviously everything Nuggets related goes through Joker. But now the Lakers have Luka and LeBron. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Luka's going to make it so much easier for LeBron. Yeah, those two guys making Jackson Hayes look like a really good NBA basketball player last night. All he has to do is go throw down lobs. No problem. Jackson Hayes can pull that off. I was a little curious about, what are they going to do with their starting lineup? They went with Luka, LeBron, Rui, Austin Reeves, and Jackson Hayes. I think that's probably what it's going to be. And it appears to me that when Jackson Hayes is not on the floor, you're going to get a lot of small ball lineups with that. Last night they were doing a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt combos, a little bit of point center LeBron. It looks like Rui might get a couple of minutes, basically patchwork center backup minutes when Jackson Hayes isn't out there. And then I guess maybe you go and look for somebody on the buyout market, but there could be worse things. If the problem here is that they don't have a backup center or even really a starting center because of the Mark Williams trade falling through, but you have Luka, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and look, so matchups are going to be really significant in sort of what the Lakers can or can't do. And I don't, and to your point, the defensive liabilities they have, and the fact Jackson Hayes is great throwing down the lobs, but outside of that, and sort of the other end of the court, when they play a team like Denver, and Denver's always had their number, even when AD was there, there's going to be some problems. But if the Lakers got the right matchups, and they made a run to the conference finals like they did a few years ago when they were, if memory serves, a play-in team, or even if they get to the second round this year and they play whoever, some good team, 6-7 games really tough, it's going to feel like building towards something inevitably great in LA. Whereas let's say AD comes back and is healthy and they do something like second round, play tough, and they go out, everyone's going to say, well, we're in the finals last year, you idiots. It's everything about what the Lakers are building and how I think we're going to view it is going to be positive because it's the start of something.
It's the start of something, and I'm glad you brought that up, that they're building something for the future, that it's going to be fun this year, but then this offseason and moving forward, we'll see what other additions they make, because the Mark Williams trade fell through, and you and I discussed this on yesterday's program, but I think it's important to repeat here. They end up now getting that 2031 first-round pick back and the 2030 pick swap. So they might have dodged a bullet a little bit on Mark Williams, who, by the way, Bill, so this trade gets rescinded. The Lakers give him the physical. You and I like Mark Williams a lot, but he's had a lot of injury issues. He's missed 105 out of 211 possible games in his career. He gets shipped back to Charlotte. Charlotte puts out a statement saying, hey, we welcome back Mark Williams. We always wanted him to be part of the team. And then, Bill, they go to the commissioner and the league, and they complain. Evidently, there was a statement here that they are, quote, exploring options to dispute the Lakers' failed physical assessment of Mark Williams, and they are weighing avenues to challenge it. So even though they said they like Mark Williams back, now all of a sudden they kind of don't want the trade to be rescinded, and they'd rather Mark Williams play in LA than in Charlotte. I mean, it doesn't seem to me like they believe in Mark Williams' health either.
No, and this is bizarre and sort of pathetic. The only analogy I could come up with is if your high school girlfriend broke up with you, John, and you decided to go to her dad and ask him to overrule and make her go to the high school prom with you. Adam Silver's, they're not, I mean, look, I don't know. This is unprecedented. The people I've texted, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. The NBA is not going to overrule and force the Lakers to consummate this trade. And I saw on social media, which means it has to be true, right? It must be true, that the team doctor for the Lakers had been a long-time NBA league employee, so he has relationships with some of the people who'd be making these decisions. It's just, and this just, to your point, I think speaks to how much they did not want Mark Williams on that team and the degree to which they felt like they had done really well in a trade where they had been widely mocked by a lot of NBA Twitter, a lot of NBA X, and a lot of NBA Blue Sky. So it's just in the bizarro of all bizarro NBA trade deadlines, the weirdness just keeps. This is supposed to end after the trade deadline last Thursday, 3 Eastern, whatever it was. The weirdness and madness is supposed to stop, and it just keeps on keeping on.
It has not stopped. I mean, how bad does Mark Williams' health have to be for the Lakers, who are desperate to find a good athletic big to put on the floor and be a lob threat? Apologies again to Jackson Hayes with Luka and LeBron, for them to bring him in and go, oh man, this isn't good. I mean, he in his injury past, he's had a back issue. Evidently, it wasn't about the back, and reportedly, it's been about his knee and about his foot. And now you have two teams who are like, no, you take him. I don't know what the Hornets are thinking beyond, they really wanted to get that haul from the Lakers, but they basically, didn't they just tank any trade value that Mark Williams would have moving forward? At this point, you got to hope he gets healthy and plays.
I mean, you just said it. they and the Lakers have telegraphed to the other teams in the league, beware of this guy, stay away from this dude. And I think you make a great point too. The Lakers now, Rob Pelinka obviously thought he had a market opportunity with Williams, good for him. But their flexibility and what they can do in the summertime, and I think really their ability to assess the team with Luka and LeBron for the remainder of the season, maybe Luka/LeBron just carries you in a way that we've seen Luka carry teams before. And frankly, we've seen LeBron carry teams before, but he's a different version of himself now, still really good. So that, there's a goal this year. I hope maybe things can happen. But you also just have an assessment period where you can make some decisions with some more time and some more flexibility in the summer. I think it keeps coming up Rob Pelinka. I don't know what karma he's done, what wonderful things, but everything. He should get to Vegas and put some money on roulette. Because
look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with: Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq. They worked really hard every day and with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be part of the Dallas Mavericks. Bill, couple of things here. Why don't you take this? We mentioned this on yesterday's show. The Shaq inclusion was something that stood out for a lot of people.
All right, full disclosure, I like Shaq like we all do. I think he's great. I've been lucky enough to be a hangers-on in a couple dinners with Shaq and a couple finals. Super nice guy. Picks up the check. Shaq probably doesn't remember me, but thank you, Shaq. I'm the guy that ordered the expensive bottle of wine when I figured that's what was happening. Shaq is the epitome. He is the example. He is the case study that, in fact, there are some talents over the course of NBA history who are so good that if they're difficult or if they don't condition the way they're supposed to, or if I'm talking to you, Pat Riley, maybe think about attacking one of their coaches every now and then. The juice is worth the squeeze. This is part of the deal. The fact that this guy included Shaq on the list, A, means he doesn't know anything about basketball. B, means he's insulting Luka Doncic, just reaching for great names. And C, means he is missing the point of the actual person he shouldn't have put in that list. Shaq is proof that if the worries they have about Luka are true, who knows, right? It doesn't matter. There are guys that are just the example that not every rule should be followed. Shaq was one, and Luka Doncic is clearly another.
Yeah, this definitely felt like new rich guy owner doesn't really totally know the NBA, and he's going to try to lay down the law here. And a lot of people have made this point. I'm going to piggyback off of it. If you're going to rattle off a list of people who do it the right way, one of them just showed up in LA last night to support your guy, to support Luka. It's Dirk Nowitzki. He's got a giant statue outside of the Mavs arena as he's shooting his signature fadeaway that says "Loyalty never fades away." And you didn't even mention that guy.
You know the meme from The Boys where the basically evil Superman character realizes that they're cheering for him, and it's basically used now of this somewhere Matt Ishbia is just, I'm not the owner who doesn't know what he's doing. I think this is Matt Ishbia is the other winner of this trade.
And our viewers are winners. I did not anticipate a Homelander reference on today's program. Nicely done by you. Bill, Patrick Dumont did not stop there. He decided one foot in his mouth was not enough. He crammed the other one right into his face. He continued with this quote, Bill. He said, "That's who we want. I'm unwavering on this. This is how I operate outside of basketball. This is the only way to be competitive and win. If you want to take a vacation, don't do it with us." Bill, that last part is, look, this guy just took you to the finals last year. They got beaten by the Celtics last year were the best team in the NBA. Despite the fact that they had an easy road through the Eastern Conference, they were considerably better than the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, however, went through a gauntlet in the Western Conference, and Luka was a large reason why they got there. And this guy was like, nah, I'm going to kick him on his way out the door.
3 takeaways. 1, Matt Ishbia is the big winner in NBA owner power rankings. Again, just doubles down on this. 2, and we're not the early edge. Those are the experts. But I am taking the over every time Luka plays the Mavs for the rest of his life. And they could set that number at 44.5. Luka is going to punish. It's one thing to break his heart. It's another thing to make an enemy of Luka. You play in the same conference, and presumably you have aspirations to be excellent. So then the third thing is, and it's speculative, and I don't have any reporting on this, but I'm not sure that Nico Harrison deserves the benefit of the doubt. But let me just sort of move forward a little bit. Conversations we've had on the pod before. What Harrison did, the GM of the Mavs, it's inexplicable. It doesn't make sense. And while I'm not absolving him of responsibility, it's very clear from these comments that ownership at a minimum was on board. And it's hard to know if maybe the tail was wagging the dog here. And so I don't know, but if you're Nico Harrison and you brought this to ownership and they go, yeah, this is great, we don't want him. Okay, it's still on Nico. But there's certainly a world where ownership, for a variety of other reasons that have nothing to do with basketball, or to your point, this is a shiny new rich guy, have a shiny toy, I don't know how this works. Ownership's responsibility and culpability in this trade, I think, needs to be considered more than maybe we did a week ago, because they're doubling down on these silly reasons for trading away a generational talent.
Yeah, I think that on the one hand, if you're Patrick Dumont and you want to say that we support Nico Harrison and we believe in him, fine, that's okay. You can do that, right? In the same way that you say we wish Luka well, but we're going in a different direction. This is a totally different thing. This wasn't just I'm standing behind Nico Harrison. This is I am going to light myself on fire. And like, at what point does somebody not just go to him and say, hey man, read the room? Our fans are protesting outside. People are losing their minds here. You not only just traded the face of the franchise, one of the two most beloved players in Mavericks history, but you are also the new owner coming after a guy who is similarly loved in Mark Cuban. Like, are you trying to be the villain of du jour, like the guy who everybody hates? I don't understand this thinking at all.
And bookmark for later, whenever today or whatever we talk about, it feels like at least a step in the Timberwolves ownership situation being resolved. The thing about new ownership, and this has been true in Phoenix with Ishbia, it's obviously true now with the Mavs, is you don't know what these owners are going to do to your organization or franchise until they get into those jobs. And as you and I discussed yesterday, you can fire Nico Harrison, or you can reward him if we're all wrong and he's right. You can move on from players, right? LeBron James is amazing. Someday he's not going to be able to play in the league. There's going to be the next guy up. Now it's Luka Doncic. You're stuck with these owners. And the Suns got a new owner, and Matt Ishbia has been a disaster. He's taken a wrecking ball to that organization, and it felt like there wasn't another owner that could come in if you were taking bets and put his franchise in a worse position. And this ownership group said, hold my beer. Because to your point, the problem isn't just that Doncic is gone. That's a major problem. Or that this guy is insulting Luka Doncic and acting like an amateur. It's they are telling us, to quote Bill Parcells, who was quoting Maya Angelou, people tell you who they are. Listen, they're telling us who they are. You can't pull out of the tailspin you put yourself in if this is how you think about basketball and running a team.
They've decided to actively wage war on their fan base. I just don't understand it at all. One more quick thing, and then like eventually we are going to talk about actual basketball here. But somebody mentioned this on Blue Sky, and I wanted to run it past you because it feels like a conversation that we would have. Do you believe in sports curses? Because this is shaping up to be the curse of Luka Doncic. So AD goes in his first game. He looks amazing, then gets hurt. Gafford got injured last night. They have no bigs at all. They were in a knife fight with the Kings last night, had a chance to win that game, ended up blowing it when the Kings were basically handing it to them in overtime. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, Patrick Dumont has decided to just pick a fight with the fans who actively hate him.
Yes, I'm an irrational sports fan. I'm a Cubs fan who believed that a Billy Goat not going to Wrigley was there. And the only reason I was at this World Series, the only reason that the Cubs have a World Series in my lifetime is because they played an equally cursed organization, that poor Cleveland baseball team. So do I believe in curses? Yes. And as I think I said to you on HQ the other day, the curse of the Bambino, I'm really pushing, and I want us to trademark the curse of the Browbino. Trading for the brow is the new, I know you love it.